Well, good day. Phil Thomas again. The project today is to connect to this Comtech EF Data 50-watt BUC remotely. You may have seen an earlier video where I used a serial to Ethernet converter. We don't have a serial cable for this BUC, and so we're going to control it entirely by Ethernet. And the way we're going to do that is to use a modem that is Ethernet enabled. All three of these Comtech EF data modems are Ethernet enabled, so I'm going to choose one with L-band, and it could either be the top showing 48 volt DC or the bottom Comtech. They're both L-band, and I'm going to connect directly to them over our local network. This is a close-up of the back of a similar modem, but here you see the options that are used for connection. This is a serial, but we're going to use the Ethernet here. However, before we do that, we've got to know a little bit about this modem. We've got to know about the passwords, and so we're going to need to go in to the modem by serial port so we can make changes to the password, or at least find out what the passwords are, because we're going to need those when we log in remotely over the Ethernet terminal. Now, before we can start access, we need to know what the IP address is. So the way we do it, you go to Configuration, REM, Ethernet, address, and we can see it's 192.168.1.30 on this home network. So any computer connected to this network can go directly online to .30 and look at this modem. So we found out what we needed to find out, and now we're going to go back and we're going to apply this. We are back in again. We go into the A for administration. First item is P for password. There's 3 passwords associated with all these modems. Admin is available if you want to change certain features. In this particular case, we're just going to go to read write. User password is Comtech. Password is Comtech. Oh, and to change it, we would simply put W in there and put in the new values. We're not going to bother. We found out what we want to, so we can bail out now and move on to the next step. Okay, I have the modem connected to the Ethernet switch. What you're looking at here is my Microsoft Edge browser. And as you can see, the address is shown. Maybe you can't see it. It's almost off the screen. 192.168.1.30 on my network. Of course, if you're going to do this, you have to set it up on your own network. But that's not a problem. Now, before we start with this, let's just look at the BUC. This is what I was really curious about. I wanted to make sure that the BUC transmit was on. The power control BUC 10 megahertz is also on. All right, that's all we needed to see there. So we're going to go back to the modem again. So we can see some information here that's not particularly relevant, at least not for this test. It is if you're using this in the field. Data rate has been set up at 90K, frequency 950, so in C-band, that's right at the bottom of the range. Spectrum is normal, power level is 40. That is an important metric. And this is what we're going to work with. We're going to increase this by about in 6 steps to bring this 50-watt BUC from basically 1 watt all the way up to 50. If you were using this yourself, you could make any changes to data rate, frequency, but this is going to be sufficient for the test. Now, if you look at the power meter, now the minimum power of this particular modem is neg 40. And at neg 40, you can see we're running at 32 dBm, approximately 1 watt. So we're going to bring it down now to neg 35. Neg 35. Neg 35 is going to show you an increase to 38 dBm. 38 dBm, approximately 6 watts. Okay, we're going to take it down now to 30. Submit. You don't always have to press the submit. Sometimes the carriage return will do the same thing. Anyway, we're running at 30, which is 43 dBm. 43 dBm is 20 watts. So we're getting up there. Now let's go from increase again from 30 to 28. That time I just hit the carriage return. Now we're going to 45 dBm. 45 dBm is about 32 watts. Let's do a little more. We'll take it down to 25.5 because we don't have to do whole numbers here. And 25.5 should take us pretty well to the top of the range. 46 is about 50 watts. So this amplifier now is running at 50 watts on a frequency that we wanted with a data rate. In this particular case, I just chose a random 90, but it's a 5 meg modem, so the data rate could have gone up to 5 meg if you wished. I think that's really all you need to see to establish the fact that even if this particular BUC does not have an Ethernet interface, if it's connected to a modem that does have an Ethernet interface, then we can control it remotely. All right, now just before we do anything else, power level, we're going to take that down to 40 again, its minimum level, and we're going to turn the carrier off. All of this should be reflected on the power meter. So we're going to wrap this up now, say thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.